Today let's look at entering a handstand from a straddle position. Now you can see I just pressed up from the floor. It wasn't too easy, but I made it up. Now if you can't do that, I'm just going to show the easier option and then continuously show an easier and easier and easier option. So today's videos are like the opposite way around. Normally I'll show the easier variations and we'll slowly build up to the real thing or the end goal. Today I'm just going to drop it down one. You could try this one. If you didn't make it up, try the next one and so on. So slightly easier will be to raise the hands up. I'm also using P-bars just because that's what I've got, but you could just raise your hands up on some weight plates or a little step. And the other thing that's going to make this easier is that I'm going to step into my straddle position instead of pushing up from that seated straddle on the floor. So here, and then push up to handstand. Now with all these options, you could do the eccentric as well, which is much easier. So I would start in the handstand position and then come down backwards through the movement and finish there. So just take that for granted. For each of them, you could just do it backwards, which is much easier. Next, let's go up again, but we use the wooden box. So this is going to allow us now to bend the knees a little bit more, which is good for you guys that are stronger, but maybe not so flexible and need a bit more clearance. So jump up to straddle position, bent knees, push up into your handstand. Now I need to be careful now because of clearance at the top, but you get the idea. So bending the knees is going to be easier than that more restricted version on those lower P-bars or the floor. Then the next layer to that one, which is slightly easier again, is to bend the elbows and the knees. So bending the arms is going to bring the head and the shoulders down quicker, which if you think about that from a seesaw point of view, head and shoulders down, hips up, should help to take you up into the handstand. And for most people, it's going to be slightly easier than the straight arm version. So same start position as before, but now bend arms and bend legs, and then I can push out. Now let's get rid of the box and think about reducing the range of motion. So let's go back to P-bars again. We could use boxes of this height. Same principle as before in terms of I can go straight arms or bent arms. However, I'm going to start this time with my feet behind the bars, so I'm not actually in the straddle position. This is going to be harder than my standard straddle press because my feet are lower than my hands. My hip is low compared to our normal straddle press to handstand. And now I push up from that position up to a handstand. Now we could bend the knees, we could keep them straight. We could bend the arms, we could keep them straight. Both variations are going to be easier than that straddle position and passing through. And then you could just keep lowering the bars or the boxes or the weight plates, whatever you've got your hands on, if you can't get up on that higher surface. And exactly the same, bent knees or straight. Now it's looking more and more like a standard straddle press to handstand. It just has a very slight deficit, so the feet are lower than the hands. Then we can just get rid of everything and go to the slightly easier version, being the straddle press to handstand from the floor. Again, you could make that more muscled, so bend the arms, bend the legs, planch it up a little bit, meaning that the position's a bit flatter when you go up to handstand. If you can't do that, we could go easier again by raising the feet up, which should make the movement much, much easier. However, you might need to raise them up higher and higher until you find the point where you can actually press up. And then another way we can make all of them movements much easier is to use momentum. So I can add a little bit of a jump to this movement. So I start in a bent knee position. I'm now going to use a little bit of oomph from the knees straightening. So that's going to help me up. So it's on the edge of being a jump, and obviously I could just slow that down. So now we're all the way to much easier straddle press variations. Now this isn't like a detailed tutorial, I've got lots of those. Just search my name and press handstand and you'll find lots of those, or you can get programs and categorized searchable videos on my app. Links are all down in the description. I hope today's video has helped because it was a totally different way of looking at the skill. If you do have any questions or requests, stick them down below in the comments and I'll speak to you in the next one. Thanks guys.